Hello. Today, I would like to talk about the potential changes to Wulfrik and Seafang. Seafang is a magical ship that Wulfrik uses to teleport around the world and find challengers. So, when Arbol came out with his teleport ability, people have been saying that Wulfrik should have a similar one because he is called the Wanderer. And in fact, Creative Assembly has addressed this and said that the Seafang will have a campaign mechanic that will allow him to travel port to port, as shown in this video.
But we have extended his presence to the campaign map. So right now we're using Seafang. We'll provide you with an easier mean of transport, crossing vast distances from port to port, which will likely turn you into this ultimate raiding machine.
Specifically, I want to focus on the way he said travel from port to port and becoming a raiding machine. Now, yes, teleporting would allow you to travel around the world, but I don't think it really makes you a great raider, because I think when you think of Vikings, for example, when you say they go port to port, they raid, you don't mean they teleport to the middle of your city or anything like that. They actually mean they sail around, go to your ports, loot them, and maybe escape. That's what you would think when Viking raiders, right? So what I would like them to do is not just give him a teleport mechanic, but also a seafaring ability or something like that. One way they could do this is to give Wulfrik the ability to get extra movement range when he starts at a port or at sea. This is an example that Empire has of paved roads. If you start in that region, you get extra movement range when you start your turn there. Something similar to this, Wulfrik, if he starts at a port or at sea, he'll get, let's say, 50% to 100% extra movement range because he's a really good raider. He can travel around and maneuver much better at sea, and that will make him a naval powerhouse. Another way it could be done, which I'm not 100% sure on, is make the sea give less resistance to movement. So if you played the game long enough, you'll notice that paths will give you full movement, whereas if you go through things like the forest or whatever, it usually means you can't move as much, right? So I'm assuming that means that forested paths are going to give you less movement range because it gives you more movement resistance. Maybe if that's how it works, they could reduce the amount of movement you need to travel across the sea or something, and that'll let you move farther. This is a little bit more iffy because I'm not 100% sure how it works, but something like that could work. The main reason I want this to be implemented is because there are many characters that are seafarers. They're supposed to be very good at sea, but they're pretty much the same as any other lord at sea, right? So an example is the new legendary lord that might occur, Aeslin, the high elf naval guy. And then there's Lokir, there's like Alberic, who's the son of Mananna or whatever. There's the Vampire Coast people. They are supposed to be really powerful at sea, really tied to the sea, but they don't really get any benefits for being at sea. So this kind of movement range increase will help them be a little bit more powerful at sea, make them travel to places faster, and make them a powerhouse. Now, how will this be implemented? I think giving them a trait that just says if you start at sea or at a port, you'll get extra movement range is the easiest, because the other way that I would do it is to give them the ability through the ship mechanic, but some characters like Lokir and Alberic and Wulfrik currently don't have that mechanic, so it'll be kind of wonky to use. So I think a trait would just make it a lot easier to implement it overall. This trait will also allow characters to have unique start locations. For example, Wulfrik doesn't really need to start at land if he has this, so he can literally start out at sea like the Vampire Coast, travel where he wants, and start challenging whoever he wants. I think that would really help differentiate him and really give credence to the name, the Wanderer. Another reason is, for example, Alberic. He is in Lustria, he has to fight the Skull Taker, and it is not a good time for him. So giving him a way to escape from there and just come back to Bretonnia if he wants to early in the game would really help differentiate these kinds of horrible start locations.